Welcome to the BAM Podcast, your number one source of success inspiration. Do you find yourself looking for the secret to success? Join me in this quest as I interview people who have worked hard to turn their passion into fulfilling businesses and careers. I'm your host, Funke Oladele. Welcome to BAM Podcast. It's your host again, Funke Oladele. And today I have with me an entrepreneur, Jeff Osuji. He is the CEO and founder of Noire, a ticketing platform for events. And he also wears multiple hats as a real estate agent and broker and real estate investor. So he's going to get to tell us about himself today. He's also the CEO of Events by Pyramid, which is also something that has to do with
event marketing and production.
Event marketing, yeah. So event marketing. He's going to get to tell us all about himself today on entertainment, very big on entertainment in the city of Chicago. It's just an honor to have him on BAM Podcast today. Jeff, thank you so much for being our guest. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all. I love what you guys are building with this podcast. I recently just launched our podcast, The Art of the Party, yesterday. So I'm excited to deal with folks who are building in this space. But I'm doing good. That's the highly favored.
Awesome. So we just found out that there's another title. He's a podcast host.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get started by just having you tell us about yourself. Who are you? And tell us about your background, including education, things that went into Jeff from the beginning.
No, I appreciate it. Jeff Osuji is essentially the son of two immigrants from Nigeria. My mother and father both came here in the late 70s. My father came here first to study economics, where he got his PhD. He first came to University of Detroit, transferred to Michigan State, where he got his undergrad and then worked his way up on raising his family to get his PhD. My mother, like my dad, came here, started out working fast food restaurants and earned her nursing degree. And they had 5 kids when they moved to Chicago, and they instilled in us the importance of hard work, true dedication, and sacrifice. So I'm the 4th of 5 children raised in Chicago on the north side, where there's a number of Nigerians, Ghanaians, Jamaicans, Belizeans. There's certain portions of the north side of Chicago where a lot of immigrants first come. A lot of them live in houses full of 6, 7, 8 people, where they try to get their hands and on opportunities. And really just work to try to lift each other up. And so whether it's taxi cab driving or whether it's working as a CNA, folks do and did what they had to do in order to survive and raise their families during the 70s and 80s. Personally, I was blessed to watch my parents work and work from lower class to middle class. And really what they did was instill an education in us. And so I was able to attend some of the best schools because my dad, made us study GED books in the summer when everybody else was hooping and kicking it. We had to study. We couldn't watch TV Monday through Friday because it was important for him to make sure that we had a better life than he had. And education was that resource. So attended the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, just 2 hours south of Chicago. It's also where Bob Johnson, the CEO of BET, went. And I think he saw the same thing that I saw at that institution and most institutions in general that aren't built necessarily to give African Americans a leg up. And I say I had a great time in college. I love the U of I. But there was a need for community amongst Black people that we didn't have. And there was a reason why Black people were dropping out at the highest rates. And it was a lack of community. And so I really sought out to build community through events. And I started an event company in college, graduated a degree in chemistry, got my MBA, and really worked to scale my event company. I had my first event at the Canopy Club at U of I. And it was jam-packed, 800 people around the block. And I realized there I was onto something. There was a need for Black people to go places where they really felt welcome, where we could celebrate each other, celebrate culture. And the outlet for the community in college, of course, was events. When I traveled back to Chicago after business school, I realized that there was this need everywhere. Black professionals in DC, where my co-founder of Event Noire went to school, would always contact us like, man, where can I go in DC? Where can I go in New York? Where can I go in California where I'm going to see people who look like me? And so as minorities, it's important for us to have these safe spaces and places where we can feel celebrated, right? And my goal was to help connect people to these experiences because it's kind of like mental health for us. And so we wanted to leverage technology to do that. So we launched Event Noire, the ticketing marketplace for events to celebrate the culture. I've always been an entrepreneur since college. I worked 8 years as a national advertising director of a startup but I also hosted my events on the side nationally in DC, Chicago. In 2019, I decided I had made millions for my company and decided it was time for me to start trying to make money for myself, leveraging my talents. I figured if I could make 15 to 20 million for somebody else, I could at least make myself, 100,000 if I decided to go full time on my own. So 2019, I quit, focused on Event Noire and my event company. The pandemic happened and events went to zero. And I was really faced with a need to bounce back and build and focus on really the instrumental building blocks of building a business. I went back to square one, focusing on my customers. And it's allowed me to rebuild the business and also pick up new hustles, which you're forced to do in a pandemic, and really just staying true to what I believe in, which is building community and building solutions that benefit underrepresented communities. So I'm a real estate agent. I became an agent during the pandemic, and I'm a top 10 realtor focused on helping my friends get ownership, and that's on the weekends. But full time, I run Event Noire, which is a startup that we're fundraising for and scaling and continue to grow. So that's me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Looks like that's a lot you did get into a few minutes there.
Sorry, that was a mouthful.
And no, definitely. That I'm saying you're summarizing years of hard work and things that you've built within just a few minutes. And we want to try to get to know more about the story behind it. And it's really great hearing your background, how African background from your dad, instilling values of hard work in you, knowing that you have to be successful, like, regardless. Those are definitely values and concrete foundation, right? Towards becoming who we want to become. That's kind of poured into you. And so you talked about starting Event Noire when you were in college. Was your intention?
Started my event production company, Pyramid, in college.
Okay.
I started Event Noire a little bit later, around 2018. We launched after we had already been hosting events because we realized we didn't own any of the infrastructure or the bars or the venues. And we wanted to own something within the event space because equity and ownership is a big problem in most industries, particularly in the event industry and entertainment industry.
So it looks like you got into entertainment while you were in college, right?
Yep.
And thanks for that clarification there. One thing I'd like to have you tell us about is, was your intention to start an event company, the Event by Pyramid? Was that your intention? Or, did you just discover that passion to say, hey, there's really something here that I can do with event? Is it more of, looking at the fact that, there are people, like you said, building a sense of community, providing that community? Do you feel like, maybe was that more of, as you were going, you saw the need for people to gather together? Or did you and your friends go out, go to events and realize, hey, this is big, we need to make it bigger? How did that come about for you?
Yeah, no, great question. I hosted my first party when I was 14 years old, and it was something
Okay.
about the rush that you get when you're putting together, for me, when you're putting together ideas, when you're running around getting together in preparation of an event. For me, it's the biggest thrill. One of the biggest thrills in life for me is when putting together an event. It's a passion of mine. If I could do anything for free, I just host events, bring people together. For me, it was a satisfaction the next day of folks saying, man, I had an amazing time. Somebody might have met a girlfriend or boyfriend. They might have met a new friend, right? In events, you have the ability to bring people together and build community, but also, you have the opportunity to change people's lives. It's an opportunity to have a vision and bring it to fruition like that. So it was my first really shot at a startup, right? You have an idea for a startup or a business, you build it, you see how it goes. For me, it was a micro business, a micro startup for me. I'd have an idea for a party and I'd execute it, and then I'd change people's lives. And so there's always going to be a need for community. Black people spend $9 billion a year on events annually, right? And so here in the US. And so it's a huge opportunity. And I realized that not only was I good at bringing people together, but there was a science behind it with marketing that if I was able to execute on it and really master, it had a great return on investment, right? You look at most businesses. This is why with Event Noire, we are really about educating people on the benefits of hosting events. If you look at it, you can start a host an event with $300 for a DJ, $100 for a flyer, right? If you're doing it well, you can make thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars on events while building a brand. For me, it was all about bringing people together. And I was lucky enough to have frat brothers who had already started a company called Pyramid Productions and passed it down to me. And I was able to take that company, really evolve it and grow it throughout the country.
That is wonderful.
I feel like I'm talking too much, so let me know if I need to shut up
Oh
sometimes.
no, that is great. That is great. It's important that you express yourself because this is your story, right? This is your story, and it helps us to kind of tell it. And as you are sharing, I get to also, if I need to take you a step back to say, hey, clarify this or explain this to us, that helps us to understand it better. You're doing perfectly well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So it is really great to hear that story because sometimes you see, like, you didn't really quite identify that that was the foundation, from you being a 14-year-old, identifying your passion for hosting events. And I like to identify these things that contribute to success in the lives of people. Sometimes it's been building up from when we're younger. We don't notice those things and it just kind of grows with us and it becomes something bigger that we're turning into a business. And so thank you so much for sharing that as a 14-year-old, that's when the dream was born in you and it didn't die and it's evolving. It looks like, so from there you did Event by Pyramid and then you're now the CEO of Event Noire. So
Yep.
tell us about how that evolved for you, the opportunities that came with it, and how you're distinguishing it. Did you then combine what you were doing at Event by Pyramid
Great
with
question.
Event Noire, or are they still separate entities?
It's completely separate entities. So Pyramid was essentially an event company, right? And what we did was we realized that after we hosted events all over the country, that the general market event platforms didn't do a really good job of super serving Black event curators and curators of color. I say that to say that event platforms people go to look for events, right? But that's not how they use the general market event platforms. Because they were so cluttered, it had so many different events that weren't necessarily catered to us. A lot of my friends and myself would go to events and not know if we're going to get in, not know they're playing our type of music. Unfortunately, being Black, oftentimes we get denied from events because of the fact that we're Black, right? And certain crowds, certain venues may not want a lot of Black people in their venue. And that's something I experienced multiple times. Now, as an event organizer, I experience discrimination a lot of times. I try to host events at certain venues and they say, all of a sudden the bar minimum has increased from $10,000 to $30,000 once they found out that I'm Black. And so we wanted to create a platform that not only gave people access to events that were culturally relevant, but that also connected into events where Black people are celebrated, Black people are embraced, right? And like I always like to say, we're celebrated, not just tolerated. And I'll give examples. I hosted a happy hour event that was really successful, a lot of professionals, doctors, lawyers. And after the event, the guy said, "Hey, that event was really cool, but I need you to kind of figure out how you can diversify your audience because the aldermen, the neighbors, the people around here don't want to see big groups of Black people." Right. So that's the type of discrimination that we faced, and so for us, it was like, you know what, we're not going to diversify our audience because if there's all white people or other folks at an event, you're not going to tell them to diversify their audience, right? So we wanted to make sure that we were able to connect people to events that were just inclusive and welcoming, right? Because everybody loves hip hop, everybody loves Black culture, right? But it's really important that you include Black people in our contributions to the culture and don't shun us. And so for us, it's about creating a platform for us by curators that can connect people to places where we are embraced because we deserve to be embraced. We deserve places to be in spaces where we're not always the minority because being minority can be depressing at times, right? And we deserve spaces where we can be our authentic selves. We're not forced to code switch because when we are our authentic selves, that's when we're at our truest form. That's where we're at our best. And what I've seen amongst a number of Black professionals is, that's when we're happy. And so, that's really what forced us to create Event Noire. We've realized that the ticketing industry was a $68 billion industry, and there was no major Black player in the industry, despite the fact that hip hop concerts are selling out all over the world, right? If you look at the music industry, most of the record companies are not ran by people who look like us, right? But a lot of the artists who are selling most records are, right? So you consistently see this in American society where we have these great contributions to culture or not getting a return on investment for our contribution. And for us, Event War is a way also to recycle dollars within to the Black community, because for event organizers who are power users, we actually share the service fees with them. So we're not greedy like a lot of the other platforms out there. There's some great platforms out there that do great business, but part of what we do for power users, what we call them, or loyal users, is that we're actually share service fees with them as commission. So they're making more money on their events. And after the pandemic, a lot of big companies suffered, so it's even more important that they make money. So we just want to be an event partner and not just an event platform.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Isn't it so? I mean, I don't know why to say it, but it's just something that even by starting to do an event, or you're creating an event for people to come have fun, enjoy each other's company, you're still facing discrimination and facing issues that takes the fun out of what you're trying to do. How do you advocate? So it looks like through this, you're still using it as a way to definitely build community and also promote the culture, and also bring about acceptance and embracing ourselves and feeling comfortable being in our skin, doing what we want to do, where we choose to do it, and not feel like, hey, we need to, play it down. How have you overcome those challenges?
So for me, I've always been, and this is why I feel like I majored in chemistry, even though I'm not doing chemical equations every day. It really taught me about problem solving and looking at anything that you come across analytically. I'm not a big complainer. I'm going to look for a solution, right? So when I look at racism and I look at poverty, discrimination, I'm not one to complain about it. I'm going to do my best to create solutions that help us even the playing field. When I say that for us, I see ownership as the pathway for us to get a leg up and combat a lot of the laws, discrimination, regulation that have been pressed amongst Black people in this country. It's beautiful. And I should think everybody, whether you're Black or not, everyone should go to Africa, right? And see Africa and see how beautiful it is and see the lies that were told to us here about how primitive Africa is. It's a beautiful place, right? And when I was able to go back to Nigeria as an adult, I was wild by all the people that look like my friends here. And I love to see how the diaspora is coming together to embrace Africa, right? But it's a continent that the whole world has, I don't want to say embraced, but they knew that it was a rich place for centuries, right? Where they've kind of exploited it. I say that to say, look at the emergence of Afrobeats. Look at our contribution to the culture. Look at what Africa is doing in terms of being an emerging economy and being where the next wave of technology and entrepreneurship is going to be, right? We have that connection and we're blessed to have that connection. And for our brothers and sisters who do not, they now have that connection to their friends and to the ability to travel back home to Ghana and to Nigeria with friends. I think we should fully take advantage of that because the world is small. And when we build solutions, they should be international solutions. Event Noire is a resource for the entire diaspora and lovers of Black culture everywhere. And so eventually we will be heavily in Africa, heavily in Europe, heavily in the Caribbeans, so that anybody who wants to go to a reggae fest or Afrobeats party or a blues festival can know where to go, right? We want to guide them there. And then, and I'll speak more about this in upcoming months as we launch some upcoming products we have, we're going to bring culture to the metaverse as well. And so for me, it's about being a leader, figuring out how you can collaborate with people within your community and build solutions that help improve their quality of life. And that's why on the weekends, I spend time helping people find their first, second, third homes so they can help to increase their assets and build generational wealth for their families, because it's been able to do that for me. And, that's why I also, work on projects and invest in real estate and focused on building businesses and scaling of water where it can be.
That is awesome. Thanks so much, Jeff. This is really great. The possibilities that are there within, this entertainment industry. So tell us, how rewarding is it? Financially rewarding? Is it being an event host, event entrepreneur? How rewarding is that for you?
It's amazing for me, but it's my passion, right? So I think that anybody that wants to do something in life that makes money for a living, if you can do something that's related to your passion, it's just a blessing. So it's very rewarding for me because I get to support other people like myself, event curators. There's no blueprint for hosting events. I've lost tens of thousands of dollars putting events together, right? And for me, with Event Wars, it's about supporting event curators, closing the knowledge gap, giving tips for how to host a successful event, as well as offering a ticketing solution that can benefit their business. So it's very rewarding to be in the event space. In college, a lot of my friends worked in the cafeteria, and I did freshman year for a small bit before I got fired. I took off during finals week, so they automatically fire you when you don't work in the cafeteria. But for me, my sophomore, junior, senior year, I always had extra cash because I was hosting events, and there was an endless supply of opportunities to host events for the campus because all people do is kick it and study. Even as I was able to go work full time for folks, I always had a side job as an event promoter that gave me access to a number of people to build up my network. So naturally, when during the pandemic, when events went to nothing, while I focused on building Event War and talking to my customers, I also became a real estate agent because a lot of my friends who were no longer partying were now focused on building their real estate portfolios. And that was great for me because I built my network, and it's allowed me to be a top 10 realtor and add a value in a different way to people within my community. So that's been very rewarding. It's allowed me to focus on investing my own money into my startup. I think as a Black business person, oftentimes you don't have money for our friends and family around, and we don't have a lot of money. It's 10 times, not 100 times harder to raise money as a Black investor, right? As a Black entrepreneur. But if you have revenue that you're generating, you can invest that into your business. I think that's the best thing you can do when you're building a business. So it's been very rewarding for me.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. And I do acknowledge, like the pandemic did affect the entertainment industry like bad. Definitely, for people, even like DJs, event promoters, event hosts, definitely I did hear about how tough that time was. And even now realizing or hearing your story, I think it's remarkable that you quickly channeled your entrepreneurial spirit into something else that you could do. So was that your first time into the real estate field?
No, I actually have been
Or were you
investing.
there?
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead. I haven't
Go ahead.
finished. No, I actually have been investing in real estate since 2016 with my partner. Like I said, I know ownership has always been an important thing for me. So, I bought my first 3 unit, which I actually sold in 2020 during the pandemic, and was able to walk away with a sizable, profit, which enabled me to reinvest into my business. During the pandemic, I also lost a digital health business that I've recently passed to my brother who's running the day to day. But it's a digital health business that was able to, the healthcare industry is recession proof, right? And so I had previously worked for a healthcare startup for 8 years, and so I was able to launch my own business, and that was able to also help keep the lights on, while I continue to build a Noire that enabled me to go full time on it. So it's important that for any person that is an entrepreneur, even anybody that's looking to build anything, that you can be nimble, that you're able to pivot, that you're able to leverage your skill set and monetize it so that you can get through any recession or pandemic.
That's a great point you made. Pivoting and leveraging your skills. Sometimes we can be limited by our thoughts saying, hey, I can only make it in this industry because that's all I've been used to. Another thing that I find very great about your story is you saying, hey, you had started investing prior to the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
So there wasn't like you had a backup plan or something you could fall back on. And
Mhm.
that's very important. I want to highlight that, sharing that kind of opened the door for you. And so how did that get you into that to, hey, I want to do this more on a larger scale? Yes, you did sell that unit you had before. Like, how did you get to the point where you say, hey, I want to get into this? What did you have to do to get started? Did you go get licensed as an agent? What did you do to get into that full time?
So what I do to get full time into
To real
Noire?
estate, the real estate business as a real estate agent, because you were investing prior to the pandemic, but during the pandemic you went more into it full time.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, I did more real estate, but I've then more still my full time job. Real estate is, I guess, I have real estate's a passion of mine, right? And I don't want to say it's a part time job because I'm always working. So real estate has helped me be able to better serve my community, right? I look at it as a calling. If you can get your friend into a home as soon as possible, you get them to another home, right? And next year you have them buy another home that can change the trajectory of their life and the trajectory of their life for their family. It was really about information being super accessible right now, right? I was able to lock into a real estate investing podcast. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should go ahead and get a license, right? The money's not looking good right now for the event industry. Now I'm married, I got a wife, right? And so when you got a wife and you're sitting at home and you ain't making no money, you're gonna have somebody to answer to. So for me, I was like, well, I know I'm not going to get another job to work for somebody, because for me, I always got in trouble as a kid just because I didn't like authority. And it's not that I don't like rules. I just don't like people telling me what to do. So I was born to be an entrepreneur. Now, and I'm coachable. I listen to folks, but it's something like people telling me what to do, and that just never sat right with me. So for me, it was just easy. The real estate market was booming, right? The market was hot, and I had been listening to Bigger Pockets podcasts that changed my life, hearing about these $1 million entrepreneurs who all made their millions from real estate. They say you don't wait to buy real estate, you buy real estate and wait, right? And so I knew that it was something I could be successful at because of my network, which I built over
Thank you so much. That is so good. I'm hearing, you got encouraged to do that and you got that passion for it, went into it, educated yourself more than you knew before. And I think that's very important. Learning. These are, I like to pick up nuggets as people talk about their story, because your story is your story, but there's a lot of tips that come with you telling us about your journey. And I also like the fact that you're also using this to help people. To tell us, with you doing real estate, so I would call you a real estate entrepreneur right now, right? Because you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate investor, and you're also teaching people about real estate.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm hearing. So tell us like the scope of what you do right now. And with you helping families own homes, are you like doing education about those for people, or training them about how to do like, or coaching? Is that what I should call it? How are you doing that for people in case there are people who want to kind of like seek out your services?
Yeah, great. It's actually interesting. So I'm actually more so doing coaching from an event perspective through Event Noire. Now we have our podcast where we're highlighting folks who are doing events on a major level to educate other entrepreneurs on how they can leverage events. But from a real estate perspective, I'm still, working on the weekends and regularly meeting with clients that are looking to scale their real estate businesses. So, for me, it's really just engaging with people. I don't deal with every client. I deal with clients that I know, that I have a relationship with, right? And I'm open to work with new clients, but I've been able to work with folks that I know not only trust me, but understand that I'm somebody that's extremely aggressive in getting people around me what they need and helping people around me. And I don't stop until I've been able to help them reach their goals, and I reach my goals. So for me, with real estate, it's a tool for me to help folks around me work towards generational wealth, right? It's a way for me to live out my purpose, which is to improve the quality of life for underrepresented folks and give people a leg up who may not have had it. While I'm not doing real estate coaching, I am taking on new clients in the Chicago area, also putting together investment teams to acquire properties, especially as the recession approaches. So if somebody's interested in investing in real estate, I could place them with other investors. I have multiple real estate investment groups that I work with, and then we can help you invest in property. So my last property I purchased was a 6-unit that I purchased with one of my partners that's outside of Chicago that's already been able to gain equity. So, you don't always have to do it by yourself.
That's right. That's right. Sounds good. All right. So as we're kind of wrapping up here gradually, I'd like to ask, tell us about your podcast. You said you just launched a podcast. What's that about?
Yes. Event Noire. Go to eventnoire.com. It's called The Art of the Party. It's an idea I had for years. And essentially, we are having eventrepreneurs, which I consider myself an eventrepreneur. People who host events share their experiences. Our first podcast episode just released, Jonathan Swain of the Hyde Park Summer Festival. He also owns a liquor store, very active within the community. And we interviewed him about how to host a festival, how to run a liquor store, right? We're sharing these principles and these experiences so that we can give people inspiration, motivation, and also advice so that they can go out and work on their dreams. So for folks who are relevant to the liquor space or entertainment space, we understand that there's a lot of money here, and we want to close that knowledge gap with the podcast. So it's called The Art of the Party. It's available on Apple, Spotify, Anchor. We'd love for you to check us out, subscribe. We're also available on YouTube, so we have the videos up on YouTube. And so we're going to be releasing episodes bi-weekly. It's called The Art of the Party Podcast, really telling you, behind the scenes what goes on into really creating these big productions and how events can be valuable for you in terms of scaling any business that you have.
Sounds good. All right.
And if
In
you're
the
hosting
show
an
notes.
event, host it on Event Noire, so number one ticketing platform for the culture.
Awesome. So tell us, how did you come back out big after the pandemic? How did you prepare for, hey, it's now safe to start having an event? Like, how did you kind of like bounce back?
Great, great, great. So for us, it was really about focusing on our customers and practicing our pitch. So we actually won first place in Mountain Dew's Real Change Opportunity Fund competition, where competed with over 200 startups. And it was aired nationally on BET, VH1, and we won that national competition, which allowed us to get a grant from Pepsi, gave us some national attention. We were featured in Forbes, Black Enterprise, Afrotech. So that gave us a big jump for us to be able to relaunch our new platform, which was better than our older platform, and really be able to support event creators throughout the country. Since then, we've been able to consistently grow. We've been able to secure partnerships with different festivals, a number of organizations. This last month was our biggest month ever, and we're excited to continue growing. We've been able to bring on some investors, and we're actually currently raising a seed round. So for folks who are interested in investing in Event Noire, and know folks who may be, there's an opportunity coming at the ground level of a company that's going to continually grow. Live Nation is a multi-$100 million company. Eventbrite's, $300 million company, both worth billions, though, from a valuation perspective. And so this is an opportunity on the ground floor of a company that's going places and is taking on the $68 billion global ticketing industry.
That is amazing. Um, Jeff, can you tell us what has helped Event Noir to grow? What exactly do you think has helped?
People wanting be more specific about the brands they support, especially people of color. We've been in this country for years. I think we're clear on how we've been taken advantage of, exploited. I think it's also clear that there are solutions that can better serve us by actually keeping us in mind and putting us first, right? So it's one thing if you host a product that's for everybody, but I think more and more than ever, people want to be catered to and they want to be cognizant about where they're spending their dollars. That's helped us, along with the fact that people were inside for 2 years and they're ready to be outside. We're off a solution to connect folks to these places where they can go and have a great time. And the event industry and entertainment industry is going to continue to boom because people, again, we're stuck in the house for a while now. They really want to get outside and have a good time. They miss each other. They miss those social interactions.
Right. All right. Can you kind of describe to us how you've grown? Like, what do you have employees? Do you have
Oh,
teams you're working with?
no.
Just give us a visual.
Yeah. We have multiple full-time employees that work for us. Shout out to T. Shout out to Danielle and Paris, our new marketing hire. We've been able to secure some investments from some great, investors in Chicago and on the East Coast. Thank you very much to Fifth Star Funds, Subconscious Ventures. And so for us, we've been able to grow significantly. We've been able to grow 20x since this time last year. Revenue is on the up and up, and for us, it's about really taking it where we know it can be, which is to the moon. BET was a company that sold for $3 billion, right? I believe that when it comes to Black entertainment, it's worth much more, and also the ability to connect with people authentically, especially the people who are some of the biggest culture drivers in the world, is extremely valuable. So we're continuing to build our platform, continuing to build our influence, and continue to spread the word of mouth. And so, we're blessed. I think we're in a good place right now, and in order to grow, we just had to, continue to do what we're doing and also, raise some more money. And that's what I'm focused on right now.
That sounds good. I want to pick on the word authenticity that you've mentioned. It looks like your business is very niche down. You know your niche, you're focusing on it, and you know who you're targeting, who it's built for, why you've built it. I want to highlight that because it's very important, right? And I'd like for you to share with us how and I point that out because there are many people who want to feel like, hey, I want to do it big, I want to do it this certain way, and in the midst of that, they lose that authenticity. You did mention it earlier, being your authentic self. So people do lose that authenticity as they move forward. What has kept you consistent with your brand and what your niche is and what you are focusing on? How have you remained consistent with that?
Hearing a lot of no's. I think part of it goes back to me not liking people telling me what to do. As a kid, I've heard, pitching Event Noire to investors and other people has been like, oh, so why do you need a black Eventbrite? Like, why do you need a black own ticketing platform? Why does it make sense, right? Well, you're thinking too small, all right? You're not going to be able to scale, all right? These are things I've heard from investors, and I've kept my head down and we continue to grow, and we've continuously gotten better, and we've continuously had high remarks and responses from our customers who know us and love us, right? And so what's kept me consistent is the vision and the mission and the understanding as an event curator to know that there's a need for what we're building, but there is a void that should be filled as it relates to creating these opportunities to connect in these safe spaces and places for us. There's a reason why, again, BET is a $3 billion company. There's a reason why Essence Music Festival is lit every year. There's a reason why we are so influential in sports, fashion, music, arts, and entertainment. There's a reason why brands are investing heavily into our culture and getting a huge return on investment. And I think it's only right that we also get a return on investment on our contribution to the culture and celebrate creators.
Thank you very much. I wanted to make sure I highlight that. What I'm hearing from you is it's important for you to stay focused on your mission and your vision. Even though it might look small in the eyes of other people, it is your big dream, and stay focused on it. And also, I'd like to, again, we're wrapping up truly this time. I'd like for you to kind of share your perspective and advice to someone who's interested in the entertainment industry, wants to own an entertainment brand or something like Event Noir. How would you advise them to get started? What do they need to make sure they have under their belt or consider to build a scalable and sustainable business?
My advice is to work for somebody who's done it before or work with somebody who's done it before and see how you can add value to what they're doing. I was blessed to be able to work for an entrepreneur for years who was a millionaire, who built a brand, multiple brands from scratch. All right. Seeing him work, also seeing people around me that were successful fueled my passion. But also, I would say that because experience is still the best teacher, right? Some people say go jump out there. Nah, educate yourself before you jump out there. Make sure that what you have is something people really want and test your idea. Don't waste $20,000 on a product before you actually take the time to do product design, do market research to see if what your customers want. We talk about in building startups the importance of asking questions to your potential customers. It's called jobs to be done. So, do your jobs to be done interviews to understand what the job to be done is for your solution. And so you can look that up. I would say join an incubator or an accelerator. I joined Techstars. It was a part of Polsky, University of Chicago, to really help incubate my idea and learn more about how I can scale it, right? So you have to be very diligent about taking in as much as you can from a knowledge perspective because there's so much knowledge available, and then work to execute, put a plan in place and execute, right? You don't always need capital. You don't always need investments, right? If you can build a company that's going to make money from day one. There's pluses to building a profitable business because we don't often have the luxury of building a business that's losing money and getting investors. So I would just say do your homework and get experience and become, as we said in our first episode of our podcast, become an apprentice to somebody that's already successful and add value to them.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. And it sounds like that can be applicable to anything you want to do. You want to start anything, learn first. And thank you for sharing that. Sometimes people just want to jump into things because, just start, just do it because you hear that narrative. Yes, while we're planning to do that, do your research very well so that you can align it with your vision and make sure that you're making it something sustainable. And this is really great to hear. Thank you so much. We've seen a lot of entrepreneurs who start a business based on passion alone and run on passion. When it's time to kind of like scale or make it like a profitable business, people are left scrapping, trying to figure it all out. But we can save ourselves that stress by doing it from the beginning. And so I'd like to wrap up with one final question that's very important. And I'd like to ask, what is your definition of success?
My definition of success is doing what you love and taking care of your family. If you can wake up and do what you love every single day and you have the means to provide for your family, you're in a great position.
It all boils down to that, right? Thank you. Thank you so much. I love it every single time someone answers this question because no one has answered that question exactly the same way. And I just get a kick out of learning. I'm learning through this process too, getting to hear people's different perspectives. And I truly appreciate you. I'd like for you to at this time share with us everything we need to know about you so we can find you. We
Yeah.
can take advantage of your services, and then I'll have those things in the show notes.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'm on Instagram is at Jeff Osuji, at Event Noire HQ. Visit us at eventnoir.com. And your next event on the platform, check us out on YouTube at Art of the Party Podcast. Man, appreciate you. Thanks so much. You can also email me at jeff@eventnoir.com. So
Okay, good. And people can contact you from any state within the U.S. Is that right?
correct.
You can take your event platform and business goes
International.
anywhere in the world. Is that right?
Well, we are now allowed to be in anywhere in North America, anywhere in Europe. We're working on Africa play right now, so we have events that in America, and you want to buy tickets to the event, you can do it. But we're working on making sure that people in Africa can also purchase tickets on the event. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds good. Thank you. I thought it was important to point that out so people
Yeah.
are aware. Thank you so much, Jeff. It's been amazing having you on today. We wish you good luck in all you do and continue to win. And thank you so much. I want to appreciate all of our listeners and people who are watching today. We're starting to bring this podcast episode to you through video on YouTube. So stay tuned and we would value your feedback. Please provide your feedback, provide your comments. We want to continue to bring stories that are inspiring to you so you can also be the next great story. As you can hear from Jeff's story, everything in life is a journey, but all your journey and every step you take comes together. It's leading you somewhere. As long as we're alive, it's leading us somewhere. Build on your passion. Don't give up on yourself. There's greatness on the inside of you, and I'm rooting for you and want to encourage you to bring out what's inside of you and be the next big deal. Thank you so much. Until the next time, I'm your host, Funke Oladele. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond Africa Magazine, and also on Twitter at Beyond Africa Mag. You also find us on LinkedIn at Beyond Africa Magazine. Thank you so much, and until the next time.